told story at Tzvi, first time he. So, we learned, I got to a halach chabura, and one of the things we just learned, we learned hilchos avelot, or as we call smachot. And one of the things that is a halacha is that when it comes to giving a hesped, is that it's a very precarious position, because you can exaggerate a little bit, but if you exaggerate too much and you say something that's not true, then it's actually not a schut, right, for the mace, but actually worse. Because then they come to Shammai and say, well, people said A, B, and C about you, right? And for the person saying it, which is why, interesting enough, is that the Chabad doesn't do any hesped, right? Because they're afraid of potentially saying something that's muzam, and therefore will cause trouble for the mace and also for the person saying that, right? And so it's a very, especially if you do azkarot, right? It's also a very similar thing. Is that we're saying things about, Uncle Teddy, and there's always a concern that maybe, I'm taking his milos and I'm exaggerating him a little bit, and maybe it's too much. But everything that's been said here tonight has been completely on point and exactly the etzem of who Uncle Teddy is, right? And that is from the candy to the smile to the trusting to the person who he is. And, I think that's, a tremendous, schus for him and for his neshama, is that everything that's been said tonight has been really spot on, right, in terms of that. And I think, we could have added some things. I think, Moshe talked about the fact that he was Masudar in terms of, all of the, dapim. But he also could have said that also if you were as part of the club, you would get your own special delivery, and we would put it together. And then, and God forbid if you took two of those like little pamphlets, like those are for the kids, So I think we could have, talked a little bit about that side also, which is also true. But I think that's the etzem who he was, is that it was, if there was something in his mind, it was 0 or 100, right? And therefore, it just like it had to be Masudar. If you were on the list, you also got your package, and you had to get your package, and it had to be at the right time, etc. Right? And I think that's the etzem of it. And I think there's really the only thing I could, there's an idea if you add too much, it takes away, right? Is that the only thing I would say in terms of summing up everything I've heard tonight is that bull, this is who Uncle Teddy was. And it wasn't an exaggeration that was said tonight. It wasn't someone who was saying, this is too, I don't believe it, or that's not exactly who he is. But that's who he was, and everything that everyone said was exactly, who Uncle Teddy was. And really is a tremendous, hopefully nechama to Ein Chaviva, but really so much, that he deserves all of, these chuyot, and we should continue to enjoy the memories of him and remember who he was.